Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Susan Kennedy. A recent poll has found that 3 in 10 Marylanders have a close friend or family member who is addicted to opiates. And the number of residents who are dying from heroin overdoses is on the rise. In August, International Overdose Awareness Day was recognized here in Montgomery County with the aim of raising awareness that overdose deaths are preventable. The ceremony of remembrance was hosted by Montgomery County families who have lost loved ones due to a drug overdose. SOUL, or Surviving Our Ultimate Loss, was co-founded by Montgomery County Judge Mary Elsa Bernard, who lost her daughter Kate to an overdose at the age of 27.
For my daughter Kate, she had been in recovery for 9 months, and for her it just took one night. She relapsed, and her first and only overdose killed her.
The candlelight vigil drew dozens of residents there to acknowledge the grief of families and friends who have experienced death or injury as the result of a drug overdose. The members of SOUL organized the event not only to raise awareness, but also to help break the stigma associated with this disease.
Despite their differences, all of our children shared a common struggle in that our society made it very difficult for them to even admit that they had a problem. And when they did finally acknowledge that they had a problem, for them to seek appropriate help.
Councilmember Mark Elrich chairs the council's Public Safety Committee. He says how society treats addiction needs to be rethought.
Our attitude toward mental health treatment in this state is pathetic, and then it falls on the county. We don't have the beds, so our mental health facility is a jail. So it's a holding place, and we have an attitude in the jail that we should be helping people, but we don't have the facilities in the jail to be helping people. So we do as much as we can do, but what they really need is a center. They need beds. They need more than the beds at Avery Road. Avery's, not the only one. There's not room in the hospitals for overdoses. There's just not room.
Despite the devastation addiction causes families, those present heard a message of hope from a former heroin addict who found a way out of her cycle of destructive behavior through the Montgomery County Drug Court program.
I'm entirely grateful for the people who were there to wake me up each of those times, that threw me in those ice baths, that were standing over me, slapping me awake, because without them, I wouldn't be here. And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to be able to, empower people and give hope that if you haven't lost your loved one, that it doesn't have to happen. Thank you very much for letting me share.
Montgomery County is home to several top-notch hospitals and medical facilities that give care to thousands of people in and out of Montgomery County every year. But there is one facility in Bethesda that is in a league of its own, and its mission is to provide support and hope to children.
There you go.
Kelly Campbell has been a patient at NIH since she was 14 years old. You'd never know it, but she has a rare endocrine disease that could be fatal. When doctors in her home state of New York were stumped as to what could be wrong, they sent her to NIH, where doctors diagnosed her with Carney complex. When she came to Bethesda, she stayed at the Children's Inn.
I was sick when I was a little kid, and we didn't know what I had, so we had no name to it. So a handful of years after being looked at by a specialist up in New York, we came down here and finally got me diagnosed and figured out what I had. And the Children's Inn has just been amazing through the whole thing. It's been like a home away from home.
Today she is at the Children's Inn with her family, but not for herself. Her 14-year-old daughter, Alexis, inherited the disorder and visits the inn once or twice a year.
She just had open heart surgery in September, which she handled beautifully, she did. But she's been in and out of hospitals and, trying to get everything stabilized with her and trying to get her back on her feet.
Dr. Philip Pizzo, chief of pediatrics at the National Cancer Institute, got the idea for the inn after he noticed families congregating in waiting rooms instead of heading to their hotels. He envisioned a supportive residence where families could stay for free while their children were being treated at NIH. The Children's Inn opened its doors in 1990 with 37 rooms. Today, there are 59 rooms at the inn, and it serves 1,500 families every year.
What he saw in the waiting rooms was that families relied on each other for that mutual support, that there was such value in families having the opportunity to sit with other families who are on the exact same journey. And I would say that's the magic of the Inn. When you come to the Children's Inn and you see how our spaces are designed, it's to meet the diverse needs of the family and to provide families with the opportunity to support each other.
And when you enter the inn, you find yourself in a place where the hospital atmosphere disappears. There are large living spaces, playrooms for children, kitchens where family can cook amongst one another, and a massive playground where the kids can just be kids. There's even Zilly, the therapy dog.
Zilly, sit. Good.
Lucas says the inn brings families together for some normalcy and provides them with hope during extraordinarily difficult circumstances.
For the most part, these are children who have exhausted all of their options for treatment in their home states and their home countries, and they are here for that last best hope. These are kids who have very rare diseases or very difficult forms of childhood cancer. And I think for us, for the Children's Inn, what we are trying to do is give children who've been through more than most a childhood and try to support the entire family. And so we're trying to take care of all the little things so that the families can really focus on the big ones.
And for a child then to have the opportunity to be in a family kind of environment with their family makes such a difference. So what this Children's Inn does is it really helps this child and this family cope with really hard stuff in a heartful way.
You know that everybody here is going through a similar situation. They're all here to either discover or try and, be with the best of the best to try and figure out what's going on with their children or their families. And there's some type of comfort knowing that there's other people going through the struggle that you're going through with your own children.
Families come from around the world to stay at the inn. It's free of charge, and they can stay as long as they need. The facility is supported completely by private donations. It costs about $10 million a year to keep the inn up and running, and there are about 220 volunteers who donate their time.
I think Montgomery County and the people of Montgomery County are probably some of the most generous in the nation that are giving us 22,000 hours, I think it is, of their time each year.
The county's police department is also a big supporter of the inn. Each year it brings its Santa ride to the inn, much to the children's delight.
And so all the families line up outside waiting for Santa to arrive. And the uniformed police officers come into the inn and they have a big party. And you see them doing things that are probably not part of their regular day job, like painting faces and doing arts and crafts. And Santa spends a little bit of time with the kids. And they also in July come back and do Christmas in July. So they escort the kids to Toys R Us, and then they do this shop with the cops. So the police officers go help the kids find toys. It's this. I can't say enough about the people in Montgomery County and the police officers and everybody else who come to support our efforts. It feels like a big team.
The donations collected during the Santa ride provide funding for gifts for the children who are staying at the inn.
Which way are you going? This way? Okay. Good, you got it?
And for Kelly Campbell and her family, being a part of that team has been nothing short of life-saving.
They look at them different here. You don't see a disease or a disability, or you see a child playing with another child, and that's a great thing to have. They have the playground in the back, and they love to just be out there and playing and doing all those things that kids do away from the doctors and the looks and everything else that goes on with that, so it's been great. You played hard, huh?
So coming here is, it's a real lifesaver. And when I look around and I look at all the children here and all the children they treat, I think every person should spend a day in a children's hospital or in a ward. And what they do for the kids is unbelievable. It's really, they're angels, they're all, because that's all you can do is trust them.
Located right here in Montgomery County, Community Services for Autistic Adults and Children is a nationally recognized leader in developing services for people with autism. The mission of CSAC is to enable individuals with autism to achieve their highest potential and become contributing members of society. Recently, the organization recognized the County Council for its continued support. Jane Salzano has spent much of her life fighting to give individuals with autism the opportunity to live and work in their community. In 1979, after her eldest son Brian was diagnosed with autism, she founded CSAC with the support of the Montgomery County Council.
Elizabeth Skull was there, and they listened with their hearts, and they appropriated $30,000 startup money. Montgomery County Council was the first and only entity to truly recognize the needs of people with autism.
Each day, CSAC provides services to as many as 300 individuals who have been diagnosed with autism. The County Council has long been a supporter of CSAC, and as a thank you, Jane Salzano and her staff honored council members for their ongoing efforts to support the organization.
You have stood up for developmentally disabled, but especially to us, for people with autism.
As part of this year's budget, the council allocated $2.15 million to help pay for the wages of those employees who assist developmentally disabled individuals. The funding came at a time when the state was falling short in its support of these wages.
But what makes this county amazing and great is that we always respond because we take care of each other. But it is true that the state has to step up, and that our delegation, they do everything possible every year. But there's always that perception that Montgomery County, streets are paved with gold, and that we don't have any needs whatsoever. When in reality we have quite a lot of need.
And whether they have disabilities or not, we need to make sure that we're giving them the ability to live up to whatever their dream is.
Today, Jane Salzano's 24-year-old grandson, Nicholas, spends much of his day receiving services at CSAC, which is why this pioneer says she will continue her work helping parents of children with autism become independent.
It's only with partners like you that we're able to be the kind of county that people want to live in. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we know that our council members are multi-talented, but recently Council Vice President Roger Berliner got to show off one of his talents when he conducted the National Philharmonic Orchestra at Strathmore Hall.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.